settle in now and let the room around you become quiet. Tonight, we are going into a winter that has covered the fields, closed the paths, and pressed the whole village down beneath snow. We are going to an old earth house at the edge of a medieval settlement, half buried in the ground, half built from timber, clay, straw, and smoke. It is not grand. It is not bright, but it knows how to hold warmth when the world above has forgotten it. Before we begin, if you enjoy quiet sleep stories like this, you can subscribe for more calm journeys, peaceful cold weather stories, and relaxing bedtime narration. You can also leave a comment and tell us where you are listening from, what time it is where you are, and what winter story you would like to hear next. It is always wonderful to see how far these stories travel around the world. Now, get comfortable, let the room around you grow quiet, and allow the story to begin. The cold has been coming for days. At first, it moved quietly across the fields, stiffening the grass before dawn and leaving a pale crust on the water trough. Then it settled into the road, into the thatch, into the handles of tools left too long against the wall. By the third morning, the mud had hardened underfoot, and the cart ruts shone like dark iron. By the fourth, the wind arrived from the north, and every door in the village began to complain. Now the storm is fully here. Snow moves sideways through the dusk. It does not fall gently. It drives itself against fences and roofs and the frozen sides of animals. It gathers in the folds of cloaks. It slides under cuffs. It finds the gap between glove and sleeve. It presses into the face until the skin burns, then numbs, then stops arguing. You stand outside the last timber house near the edge of the settlement and feel the cold working upward from the ground. It starts in your feet. The soles of your boots are thick, but thickness is not the same as protection. The frozen road pulls warmth through leather, through wool, through skin, through the small bones of your toes. Your legs tighten. Your hands are closed inside mittens, but the fingers inside them curl toward the palm as if they are trying to hide from the air. The smoke from the village chimneys is torn apart before it can rise. Above ground, everything is losing heat. Doors leak it. Roofs release it. Walls give it away. The wind pushes between planks and finds the cracks that seemed too small to matter in autumn. The houses stand, but standing is not the same as shelter. A tall room is difficult to warm. A wide room is worse. The fire may glow fiercely in the hearth, but the heat climbs too quickly, gathers too high, then escapes where roof and smoke and night meet. So you do not stay upright in the storm. You turn toward the low shape at the edge of the village. The earth house is easy to miss from a distance, especially under snow. It is a dark opening cut into a gentle slope, with a short timber face and a roof so low that the snow has already begun to smooth it into the hill. Smoke rises from a small vent, not in a proud column, but in a slow, reluctant thread that the wind bends flat. A path has been cleared to the entrance, though snow is already filling it again. You follow it with your head lowered. Each step squeaks in the dry cold. hard, sharp sound only comes when winter has taken the moisture from the surface and turned the world brittle. The sound follows you to the door, then stops when you duck beneath the low lintel. The first change is not warmth, it is the absence of wind. The air inside is still enough that your body notices before your mind does. Your shoulders lower, your eyes stop narrowing. Snow melts on the edge of your sleeve and becomes water instead of ice. The storm remains outside, but it no longer touches you directly. You pull the inner door closed. A strip of leather hangs along its edge. Straw has been packed into the frame. The wood is rough, repaired many times, darkened by hands, smoke, and years of weather. When the latch settles, the sound is small but complete. Behind you, the wind becomes distant. Ahead, the earth house waits in low firelight. Chapter 1. Lowering into warmth. You have to step down to enter the main room. Not far. 4 packed steps of clay and wood, worn smooth in the center by years of winter feet. Each step takes you farther below the level of the storm. The ceiling lowers above you. The walls curve inwards slightly, lined with clay, straw, soot, and the marks of old repairs. Timber posts hold the roof, but the earth around them does most of the work. The room is not warm in the way a summer room is warm. It is warm enough. That difference is everything here. The fire burns low in a shallow hearth near the center, its flames small and orange, its embers deep red beneath ash. It does not roar. It does not need to. The room is built for a low fire. Heat does not have far to climb before the ceiling turns it back. The earthen walls do not brighten like stone. They do not shine. They simply receive the heat and let it leave slowly. You stand near the bottom step while your eyes adjust. The room is full of softened shapes. A wooden bench against the wall. Bundles of straw near the sleeping place. A shelf cut into the earth where roots are wrapped in cloth. A pot near the hearth. A small vent above the smoke-darkened ceiling beam. A wool blanket folded over a post. A pair of children already asleep under layered covers. An older woman sitting close to the fire, turning a piece of wood with a stick, not hurrying, not wasting movement. No one says much when you come in. Winter has made speech smaller. A man looks up from a repair he is making to a leather strap and nods. A child half wakes, sees that it is only you, and sinks back beneath the blanket. Near a low partition at the far side of the room, a goat shifts its weight in straw and exhales heavily. Its breath is warm, earthy, and alive. You remove the outer cloak carefully. Not quickly. Quick movement throws cold air into the room, scatters snow, and wakes the body when the body should be settling. You hang the cloak near the entrance where it can drip onto the packed floor channel that leads toward the door. The channel is shallow, almost invisible until water moves through it, but someone carved it carefully. Meltwater belongs there, not near the bedding. You take off the mittens and hold your hands near the fire. At first, they hurt more. Warmth returns as pain, then tingling, and a dull heaviness. You flex the fingers slowly. The old woman glances at you and reaches for a small cup. She fills it with warm water from a pot near the hearth, not boiling, only heated enough to hold. You take it with both hands. The cup has no ornament. It is smooth where many hands have held it. Steam rises faintly. The first sip tastes of smoke, clay, and the iron edge of winter water. It is the best thing you have tasted all day. The house has a smell that belongs only to winter. Earth, ash, straw, wool, animal warmth, damp wood, stored roots, smoke held under a low ceiling, and human breath gathered safely away from the wind. In summer, it might feel too close. Tonight it feels like mercy. You sit near the hearth, but not too near. There are better places and worse places in a room like this, and everyone knows them. The warmest air gathers near the center and under the low curve of the roof. The corners stay cooler. The entrance steals warmth whenever it opens. The sleeping place is raised slightly on packed clay and layered with straw because the floor, even here, will take heat if you lie on it directly for too long. The earth helps. It does not do everything. You learn to work with it. The man with the leather strap finishes his repair and sets the tool aside. He pushes a small bundle of straw toward you with his foot. You place it beneath your knees, and the cold that had been moving through the floor slows immediately. You understand the first truth of the earth house by feeling it. Warmth is not one thing. It is the fire. It is the wall. It is the straw under the body. It is the low ceiling. It is the closed door. It is the goat breathing behind the partition. It is the people gathered close enough to share what each body gives away. Above ground, warmth runs from you. Down here it lingers. The storm strikes the outside of the hill with a long, low sound, but inside it arrives only as a pressure in the silence. You listen, waiting for the old fear that comes when wind rattles shutters and shakes roof beams. It does not come. The sound has been slowed by earth and snow before reaching you. The fire shifts. A small piece of wood falls inward. Sparks lift, find no draft strong enough to carry them far, and vanish. The room breathes once. Slowly, so do you. Chapter 2. The walls that remember heat. By morning, the storm has not ended. There is no sun through the entrance slit, no blue line of dawn, only a slow lifting of darkness inside the room. The fire is lower than before, but not dead. Someone has woken twice in the night to feed it, not with logs large enough to waste, but with split pieces, bark, and the dry ends of branches, saved for precisely this kind of cold. You wake because the room has cooled slightly, not dangerously, not sharply. It is a soft cooling, the kind the body can sense after hours of stillness. The blanket over your shoulder is heavy and smells of lanolin and smoke. Beneath you, the straw has compressed, but it still keeps your warmth from spilling into the floor. A child stirs nearby. The goat shifts behind the partition, and the straw beneath it rustles. Outside, winter is working. Inside, everyone wakes slowly, as if surfacing through deep water. The old woman is the first fully up. She moves with the quiet economy of someone who has lived through many winters and has no need to prove anything to the morning. She opens the vent a finger width, waits, watches the smoke above the fire, then closes it halfway again. Too much air and the heat leaves. Too little and the smoke thickens. The balance is not written anywhere. It is held in the hands. You sit up and feel the wall behind you. Cool, not warm exactly, but steady. That steadiness is the hidden gift. The wall is not giving heat like the fire. It is refusing to change quickly. Yesterday's cold has not entered all at once. Last night's warmth has not vanished all at once. The earth slows everything down. In a winter where the air changes violently, slowness becomes protection. Someone passes you a heel of dark bread and a piece of stored turnip warmed near the fire. The turnip is soft at the edge, earthy and sweet. It has been kept in a recessed niche at the back of the room where the temperature stays cooler but does not freeze. Food and people use different parts of the same house. The sleeping place needs warmth. The roots need steadiness. The grain needs dryness. The fire needs air. The animals need enough space to shift without wasting their heat. A good earth house is not only a hollow in the ground, it is a set of quiet agreements. After eating, you help with the morning work. The work is small, but small work matters more underground than grand gestures. You lift the bedding and shake the straw lightly, then spread it again so dampness does not settle in one place. You scrape a dark patch of wall with the edge of a wooden tool, not hard enough to damage the clay, only enough to clear moisture where breath has gathered overnight. You carry a little ash to the entrance channel and press it where water from cloaks has darkened the floor. The ash takes moisture. The floor lightens. A child watches you do this, then reaches for a handful and copies the motion on a smaller patch. No one teaches with long explanation. The child sees, does, learns, remembers. In a house like this, survival is taught by repetition so ordinary it does not feel like teaching. Near the hearth, the man repairs a loose piece of wall lining. The clay has cracked where the timber post meets the packed earth. He wets the crack with his fingers, presses in a mixture of clay and straw, then smooths it with the heel of his hand. His palm leaves a print for a moment before the surface dulls. That print will vanish under smoke soon enough, but the repair will remain. You ask if the wall will hold. He looks at it, then at the roof, then at the entrance where the storm has built a white curve against the outer door. It held last winter, he says. That is not a guarantee. It is almost better. It means the house has been tested. A gust moves over the roof, and the room darkens briefly as snow slides somewhere above. You hear the weight shift, not as a crash, but as a thick, muffled movement. In a tall timber house, Such a sound might send everyone looking upward in alarm. Here, no one moves. Snow on the roof means more cover. More cover means more insulation, so long as the entrance stays clear and the vent can breathe. After the repair, you go with the man to check the outer passage. The door opens only enough to let one body through. Cold falls into the entrance like water from a tipped bucket. Your face tightens at once. The world outside is white and violent. The wind has sculpted the path into uneven waves. Snow lies deep against the side of the hill, smoothing roof and ground together. The village beyond is barely visible, a few dark shapes of roofs and smoke torn sideways. You clear the vent first, not the doorway. The vent. Smoke must leave. A warm house without breathing becomes a danger of its own. You use a short stick to knock snow away from the small hood above the vent. Smoke thickens, then releases, then becomes a low gray thread in the wind. Only after that do you clear the entrance lip. The work takes minutes, but the cold makes it feel longer. Your hands stiffen around the stick. Your ears ache. The skin inside your nose burns when you breathe. You understand why no one goes outside unless the house needs something the inside cannot provide. When you duck back through the entrance, the still air feels almost luxurious. The door closes. The leather strip settles. The wind becomes far away again. You stand just inside, breathing hard, feeling cold slide off you in invisible sheets. The house takes you back slowly, not with heat rushing to meet you, but with steadiness. The fire, the walls, the bodies, the straw, the closed door. Each one gives a little until your hands begin to return. The child who copied your ash work watches you with solemn interest. Too cold, they ask. You almost laugh, but only shake your head. Cold enough. That answer satisfies everyone. In this winter, enough is the scale by which all things are measured. Chapter 3. Smoke, breath, and the low fire. By the second day of the storm, the room has fully become its own weather. The outside world is wind and snow, but inside there are smaller climates. Near the entrance, the air is cooler and clearer. Near the hearth, warmer and smoky. Behind the animal partition, thick with straw and breath. Near the storage wall, steady and dry, because the fire is never allowed to reach too strongly there. You move through these zones, the way a person might move through a familiar village. Each part has a use. Each part has a mood. The hearth is the center, but no one lets it become greedy. A large fire would brighten the room and warm the skin quickly, but it would eat the fuel, thicken the smoke, and make everyone sleepy before the night has even begun. A low fire works more slowly. It warms the pot. It keeps embers alive. It lets the earth walls drink and heat a little at a time. You sit beside it while the old woman tends a small clay pot. There is grain inside, water, a little salt, and sliced root. The food thickens slowly. Steam rises and mixes with the smoke. Nothing smells sharp here. Everything smells softened by the same air. The smoke gathers above head height. At first, when you entered the house yesterday, it stung your eyes. Now you understand it more clearly. It is unpleasant if it lowers too far, dangerous if ignored, but useful when held in its proper place. It warms the upper air. It dries the roof lining. It discourages insects and mice from settling too comfortably. It preserves the smell of winter in everything. The old woman watches the smoke, the way another person might watch clouds. She reads its thickness, its drift, the angle it takes toward the vent. When it spreads too low, she opens the vent. When the flame weakens, she closes it enough to keep heat. When the room grows too still, she stirs the fire and changes the shape of the embers. The work looks simple. It is not. The house breathes through her attention. You help by breaking dry twigs into a basket. The sound is small and crisp. One by one, they become the right length for the hearth. Not too long, not damp, not green. Fuel is measured by the week in weather like this. A wasteful evening can become a cold morning days later. While you work, the child comes closer to the fire with a strip of wool to mend. The thread is thick, the stitches uneven but improving. They work slowly, tongue pressed between teeth, face lit orange by the hearth. Across the room, the man sharpens the edge of a wooden shovel. The goat breathes. Someone outside, perhaps in another house, shouts briefly into the storm, and the sound arrives underground as nothing more than a faint broken shape. The pot thickens. The old woman adds a small piece of fat saved from autumn. The smell changes. Everyone notices without looking. Hunger is quiet here, but it is never absent. Bowls are passed carefully. The food is plain, hot, dense, and better than anything cold could be. You eat with your hands around the bowl, letting the heat enter before the food does. The first swallow warms the throat. The second reaches deeper. By the third, your whole body seems to remember that winter is not the only force in the world. The child leans back after eating and grows heavy-eyed. The old woman lets them sleep. Above ground, the day is still young, but underground time is less loyal to the sun. Rest comes when warmth, food, and safety meet. No one wastes the chance. Later, when the fire settles again, you help hang damp cloth near the ceiling, not too near the smoke, not too low where it would remain wet. The cloth will smell of smoke by morning, but it will dry. Dry cloth matters more than clean-smelling cloth when snow is higher than the door. You touch your own sleeve. It smells of smoke already. Everyone here carries that smell. Hair, wool, bedding, wood, skin. At first, you noticed it as something separate from yourself. Now it has become part of the room, and the room has become part of you. Outside air, when the door opens, seems almost too sharp, too empty. That thought surprises you. Yesterday, you wanted clear air. Tonight, clear air means cold. Comfort changes shape when survival is honest. The smoke remains high. The fire remains low. The house remains warm enough. After the meal, the old woman takes a small bundle of dried herbs from a shelf. She does not burn much, only a few leaves placed at the edge of the embers. The scent rises slowly through the smoke, bitter and green. It changes the room without pretending to cleanse it. It makes breathing feel easier for a while. It reminds everyone of summer fields under the snow. The child sleeps on. The man's sharpening slows. Your own hands, warmed by the bowl and the fire, begin to feel heavy. This is the hour when the storm outside loses its argument. It may still be raging. It may be burying fences, filling paths, closing roads, smoothing the village into white silence. But here, beneath the snow, the house has made a different hour. Food eaten, fire tended, cloth drying, smoke watched, animals breathing, children asleep, tools repaired. Not comfort in the rich sense, something older, a working peace. Chapter 4. The animals behind the low partition. The goat is not inside because anyone thinks it belongs by the hearth. It is inside because winter has made clear what belongs together. Warmth belongs with warmth. Life belongs close to life. The partition behind which the goat rests is low and rough, woven from branches and packed with straw near the bottom to stop drafts. It does not truly separate the room. It only gives order to it. On one side, people sleep and eat and tend the fire. On the other, the goat shifts, chews, exhales, and contributes its steady animal heat to the enclosed air. By evening, you can feel the difference near the partition. The air there is heavier, warmer, and smells strongly of straw and animal breath. Not pleasant in a clean way, but deeply reassuring in a winter way. The goat is alive. It has eaten. It is warm enough. Because it is warm enough, the household's future is a little safer. Milk later, kids perhaps in spring, dung for fields, heat for tonight. Nothing is only one thing here. The man brings a small measure of feed and places it in a wooden trough. The goat lowers its head at once, and the sound of chewing fills the quiet. Slow, regular, patient. The child wakes enough to listen, smiles without opening their eyes, and sleeps again. The old woman changes the straw near the partition. She does it carefully. Damp straw comes out. Dry straw goes in. The damp straw will not be wasted. It will be moved where it can break down, used later, folded into the cycle of the house and field. Winter stores nothing uselessly if people are paying attention. You help carry the old straw toward the entrance side. The smell is strong, but the work warms you. Your hands move better now than they did outside. The cold has left the bones. The room has taught your fingers to uncurl. You spread fresh straw with a wooden rake. The goat steps sideways, irritated but not alarmed, then settles again. A second animal sound comes from beyond the wall. A cow in the neighboring earth house, perhaps. The sound reaches through soil and snow as a low, muffled presence. It reminds you that this is not one isolated shelter, but part of a village pressed down into winter. Other fires burn low, other vents breathe, other people sleep near animals and stored roots and smoky walls. The whole settlement has lowered itself closer to the earth. There is dignity in that, a quiet dignity, not the kind that asks to be admired. The goat exhales again. The warmth moves into the room. You sit near the partition for a while, because the fire is being tended by someone else, and this warmth has a different character. Fire warmth touches sharply, bright on the skin. Animal warmth gathers slowly. It moves through the air without light. It feels almost like company before it feels like heat. The child wakes and crawls nearer, bringing a blanket. No one stops them. Children know where warmth is. They become experts quickly in winter, not through lessons, but through the body's honest preferences. They settle close enough to benefit from the heat, not close enough to disturb the animal. The goat chews. The child watches. The room becomes still again. At some point, the old woman tells a short story about a winter when the animals were kept outside too long, and everyone learned the lesson before morning. She does not make the story dramatic. She does not need to. Her voice remains low, and the pauses do most of the work. A gate frozen shut. A calf found stiff. A mother crying silently because grief wastes less breath when it is quiet. The next winter, the partition was built. The child listens with wide eyes. The lesson enters without command. Later, when the story has ended, the man adjusts the leather at the entrance and says only, "The animals come in before the worst of it." That is enough. In this house, rules are memories that survived. You lean back against the wall and feel how many kinds of warmth the room contains. The fire gives immediate heat. The earth gives steadiness. The animals give slow breath. The people give shared presence. The food gives inner warmth. The blankets keep what the body makes. The low ceiling refuses to let it all escape too quickly. This is why the house works. Not because one thing is perfect, because many imperfect things help each other. By late night, the goat sleeps standing, then lying. The child sleeps nearby. The old woman dozes upright for a while, then lowers herself to the bedding. The man checks the fire one more time. You watch him move through the dimness without striking anything, without needing much light. His hand finds the wood basket. His foot avoids the floor channel. His shoulder ducks beneath the beam. His body knows the house the way a hand knows a familiar tool. The storm outside has grown quieter, or the snow has grown deeper, or both. The difference does not matter. Inside, you can hear breathing. Human, animal, fire. The house is full of life, making warmth. For tonight, that is enough to trust. Chapter 5. The food held in the walls. On the third morning, the storm breaks for an hour. Not fully. The sky does not clear, and the cold does not retreat. But the wind lowers, and the snow falls straight instead of sideways. That is enough for the village to stir. The door opens more often. Each time, cold enters. Each time, the house recovers. People move between shelters with heads down and arms full. A bundle of firewood, a sack of grain, a repaired tool, a message about the path to the well. No one lingers outside. Words are exchanged quickly, then carried back into earth and smoke. You go with the man to fetch another wrapped bundle from a storage pit just beyond the entrance. The pit is not far, but winter makes distance larger. Snow reaches your knees in places. The air pinches the inside of your chest. The man clears a flat stone half buried near the side of the hill, then lifts it with effort. Beneath it, a wooden cover protects a deeper hollow lined with straw and clay. Inside are roots, turnips, carrots, beets, some shriveled, some firm, all carrying the smell of soil and patience. He chooses only a few. Taking too much from storage at once invites waste. Food brought into the warmer room must be eaten before it softens. The rest stays where the earth can keep it slow. Back inside, the bundle is opened near the hearth. The old woman sorts each root by touch before sight. One goes into the pot. One is set aside for later. One is trimmed where a soft spot has begun. Nothing is thrown away unless it has truly turned against the household. A small dark piece goes to the goat. The rest is saved. You help scrape the roots with a dull knife. The peelings gather in a bowl. Your hands smell of earth, cold water, and the faint sweetness released when the knife opens the skin. The work is simple enough for conversation, but no one speaks much. The sound of scraping, the crackle of the low fire, and the goat shifting in straw fill the room. The storage niches in the wall hold smaller things. A cloth-wrapped packet of grain, a little salt, dried herbs, a piece of smoked meat blackened at the edges, a small crock of fat. These are not ingredients in the generous sense. They are decisions waiting to be made carefully. The old woman adds a pinch of salt to the pot. Only a pinch, then covers the salt again and returns it to its niche. Watching this, you understand another kind of warmth. Food is warmth stored in another form. Autumn labor waiting to become winter breath. A root in the wall is not a root only. It is a day of not leaving the house, a bowl of soup, a child sleeping through the night, a body with enough strength to clear the vent tomorrow. Outside, the fields are gone beneath snow. Inside, the harvest remains in small, protected amounts. The man points to the deepest niche, where grain is kept raised from the floor. Dry, he says. The word is almost sacred. Warmth matters. Dryness matters just as much. A damp sack can ruin weeks of planning. A careless hand can carry moisture into the wrong place. A poorly sealed crack can invite rot before hunger has even begun its work. So the storage wall is checked every day, quietly, without drama. A hand pressed to clay. A smell taken near the cloth. A glance for darkening patches. A pinch of ash placed where the air feels too wet. After the roots are cut, the pot simmers for a long time. The smell fills the room slowly. It is not strong at first, then it becomes the center of everyone's attention. Even the sleeping child turns slightly toward it. The goat lifts its head. The fire is fed once, then allowed to settle. The meal is eaten in silence at first. Hot root stew, a little grain thickening it, the tiniest taste of smoked meat. You eat slowly because speed wastes both food and experience. Each bite is heavy, earthy, sustaining. The warmth of it spreads from the stomach outward. It reaches fingers, shoulders, face. It changes the room more gently than fire, but just as surely. When the bowls are empty, no one feels full in the abundant way, but everyone feels steadier. Winter can be met again. Later, the man checks the storage pit outside and replaces the stone carefully. The old woman cleans the pot with hot water and a twist of straw. The child carries the peelings to the goat, who accepts them with solemn focus. Nothing in the house stands alone. Food warms bodies, bodies warm rooms, rooms protect food, animals turn scraps into heat, ash dries damp patches, smoke protects stored meat, earth slows decay. Snow on the roof adds insulation. Even the storm, if handled properly, can become part of shelter. This is not a list anyone recites. It is a pattern everyone lives inside. By nightfall, the storm returns harder than before. The door is closed, the vent is checked, the storage wall is dry, the bowls are stacked, the child sleeps, the goat breathes, the fire lowers. You lie back with the taste of root and smoke still in your mouth, and the knowledge of food in the wall settles deeper than comfort. It becomes confidence, not certainty. Winter is too long for certainty, but enough confidence to sleep. Chapter 6: Darkness and the Small Stripe of Day. By the fourth day, you begin to miss light. Not daylight in the simple way, not a bright morning on open fields, not summer, not even sun. You miss the ability to see the room without fire deciding what matters. Underground, light arrives briefly and leaves early. There is a narrow opening near the entrance, angled so wind cannot strike directly through it. When the sky outside is clear enough, a pale line crosses the floor for a short while near midday. Today, under snow clouds, the line is weak and gray. Still, everyone notices when it appears. The child points first. The stripe of day reaches the packed floor near the bench, touches the edge of a wooden bowl, then begins its slow retreat almost as soon as it arrives. No one stops working, but everyone looks. Light does not have to be useful to matter. You sit where you can see it without blocking it. Dust, ash, and tiny straw fibers float in the beam. Each one appears briefly, then disappears when it moves beyond the narrow gift of brightness. The room seems different for those few minutes. Less close, less smoky. The wall colors emerge: brown clay, yellow straw, black soot, gray ash, the dark red of the embers. The old woman uses the light to check a repair on the wall. The man uses it to examine the edge of his tool. The child uses it to place a small pebble exactly inside the bright stripe, then watches as the light moves away and leaves the pebble behind. No one laughs. It feels like the correct ceremony. When the stripe fades, the fire becomes the room's eye again. Firelight is generous but unreliable. It gives motion to everything. Faces shift, walls breathe, shadows gather behind baskets and under benches. The low ceiling catches the orange glow and returns it unevenly. A person can know the house by firelight, but never completely. And yet, darkness here is not frightening anymore. It was at first. On the first night, every corner seemed to hold a possibility. Each sound asked to be explained. The beam settling, the goat shifting, water in the floor channel, snow pressing above, the small scratch of a mouse somewhere beyond the wall lining. Now the darkness has names. That sound is the vent cover. That one is the animal partition. That one is the old post near the door. That slow drip is from the cloak, not the roof. That sigh is the fire finding a hollow in the wood. A known darkness is softer than an unknown one. In the afternoon, with stormlight gone and evening arriving before anyone wants it, the old woman begins a story. She does not announce it as a story. She simply speaks while twisting wool into thread. Her voice is low, roughened by smoke, and steady enough that the child crawls closer without being called. The man continues mending. You lean back against the wall and listen. The story is about a winter long ago when the snow covered the wells, and the village had to find water by listening under ice. It may be true. It may not. It carries practical knowledge either way. Where water hides, how sound changes under snow, why children must never wander toward a frozen stream when the surface looks smooth. The room listens as one body. Stories are different underground. There is no large space for voices to fill. No echo. No distance. Words stay close to the mouth that speaks them, then settle into the straw, the smoke, the fire, the listeners. They become part of the warmth. The child asks one question. The old woman answers without breaking the rhythm. Outside, the storm cannot compete. This is another reason people survive long winters. Not only because they store food, keep fire, share warmth, and manage damp. Because they carry memory through the dark. A story makes the night have shape. It gives the mind a path to walk when the body must remain still. When the story ends, no one speaks immediately. The fire shifts. The goat breathes. Snow moves somewhere above. Then the child asks to hear the part about the hidden water again. And the old woman repeats it, shorter this time, softer, as if wrapping the lesson in another layer before sleep. By night, the room has narrowed to fire and breath. You feel no need for daylight now, not because light is unimportant, but because the house has other ways to guide you. Your hand can find the cup. Your foot knows the raised sleeping place. Your shoulder ducks before the beam. Your ears sort the room. Your body remembers the distance from hearth to wall, from bedding to entrance, from warmth to cold. The old woman closes the vent slightly. The fire lowers. The child is asleep before the blanket reaches their chin. You remain awake for a little while longer, watching the ember glow through the dark. The day's thin stripe of light is gone, but the story remains. So does the room. So does the warmth. For tonight, that is enough brightness. Chapter 7. The damp wall and the patient repair. The damp returns in the back corner before dawn. You smell it before you see it. A deeper earth smell, colder than the rest of the room, carrying the faint sourness of straw that has begun to hold too much water. The fire is low. The air is still. Everyone is sleeping except the old woman, who wakes as if the wall has called her by name. She rises without hurry. Panic wastes warmth. You follow when she gestures. The corner is darker than yesterday. Moisture has gathered near the place where the wall meets the floor. Not enough to flood, not enough to ruin anything yet, but enough to matter. The storage bundles have already been kept away from this wall because the house has a memory of its own weaknesses. Still, the bedding nearby must be moved. The child sleeps through it. You lift the edge of the straw mat and carry it closer to the hearth. The old woman scrapes the damp surface with a flat wooden tool, collecting loosened clay and wet straw into a bowl. Then she opens the vent more than usual. Cold air slips through the upper room, sharp and unwelcome. Smoke lifts toward it, then follows. For a few minutes, the house loses some warmth on purpose. This is difficult to accept until you understand the alternative. Damp warmth is a false comfort. It feels kind at first, then steals heat from bedding, weakens walls, spoils grain, and settles into the chest. Dry cold can be fought. Damp gets inside everything and waits. The old woman places ash along the lower wall and presses it in with her fingers. The man wakes and joins without needing explanation. He brings clay from a covered pot near the entrance, still workable because it was kept wrapped. You mix it with chopped straw and a little ash until it forms a rough paste. The repair is done by touch. Press smooth weight. Press again. The wall does not become beautiful. It becomes better. The vent remains open until the smoke thins and the damp smell changes. Everyone accepts the chill because the house is being saved from a slower danger. The goat complains. The child wakes and pulls the blanket tighter. The man adds a small piece of wood to the fire, but not too much. Heat must return gradually so the repair can dry without cracking. The work takes the first hour of the day. When it is done, the back corner looks darker, rougher, newly handled. The bedding is kept away from it. A dry bundle of straw is placed near, not against, the wall. The old woman marks the repair with a small line pressed by her thumb, not for decoration, but so she can check tomorrow whether the crack has shifted. You sit back, tired from a task that did not look large enough to tire anyone. This is winter's quiet power. It turns small problems into daily work. It teaches that a house is not something built once and trusted blindly. A house is a relationship. You listen to it. It tells you where it hurts. You answer before the hurt becomes failure. After the repair, the room slowly recovers its warmth. The vent narrows again. The smoke settles high. The fire regains its steady center. The child eats bread dipped in warm water. The goat receives a handful of dry straw and forgives the morning. The man checks the entrance and returns with snow in his beard. The storm has eased, but not ended. The paths are buried. The village is quiet under a heavy white sky. You ask how long the cold will last. No one answers immediately. The old woman looks toward the entrance, not because she can see the weather from where she sits, but because everyone looks toward the outside when asked a question winter must answer. Until it is finished, she says. There is no comfort in the words, and yet they calm you, because the house does not need to know the exact day of spring. It needs to manage this wall, this fire, this food, this vent, this bedding, this night. Winter is too large if taken whole. It becomes possible when answered in pieces. Later, you help move the stored grain from one niche to another, farther from the damp corner. The sack is heavier than expected. Its weight is reassuring. Grain against the shoulder. Dry cloth under the fingers. Food still safe. When the sack is placed, the old woman checks the niche by smell. She nods once. That is enough praise for the wall, the ash, the fire, the hands, and the care that kept loss away. By evening, the repaired corner has begun to dry. The thumb mark remains clear. The room smells better. The day feels successful, though nothing visible has changed to an outsider. No field plowed, no journey made, no structure raised, only damp noticed early and answered well. Underground, that is victory. You lie down that night with the wall behind you, not touching it, but trusting it more because you have helped repair it. The house seems less like an object now, and more like a living thing that depends on everyone inside it. You close your eyes. The storm continues above. The repair holds below. Sleep comes slowly, with the satisfaction of small work completed. Chapter 8. When the storm seems distant. On the fifth night, the storm is at its strongest. You know this not because you see it, but because the house grows quieter. It is strange at first. A stronger storm should be louder. But snow has been falling for days, and now it lies thick over roof, path, field, fence, and frozen road. It muffles the world so completely that even wind arrives underground as a deep pressure rather than sound. The village has vanished above you, not truly, but in the dark, beneath earth and snow. It feels as if the house has drifted away from everything else. The old woman says this is when people must be most careful not to trust the quiet too much. A silent storm can bury an entrance, block a vent, hide a broken branch, conceal a path that was safe yesterday. The world may sound peaceful only because snow has covered its warnings. So the evening work is done thoroughly. The vent is checked twice before darkness settles. The entrance path is cleared enough that the door can open. The damp corner is touched and found improving. The storage wall is dry. The goat's straw is changed at the edge where moisture gathers. The firewood basket is filled for the night. Water is warmed before everyone grows too sleepy. Only then does the house allow itself to become soft. Dinner is smaller tonight. No one complains. The storm has lasted long enough that careful portions matter more than appetite. The stew is thinner, but hot. The bread is dark and dense. A little fat is melted into the pot, so the warmth stays longer in the body. You eat slowly beside the child, who has grown quiet from days underground, but not unhappy. The child asks what the field looks like. No one has seen the field since morning, and even then, the snow had erased the furrows. The man says it looks like a blanket. The child asks if the earth is sleeping under it. The old woman answers, yes. The simplicity of that answer settles the room. Perhaps the field is sleeping. Perhaps the seeds are sleeping. Perhaps the paths, tools, fences, and stones are sleeping too. Perhaps the whole world above has gone into a deep winter sleep, while the people below keep a small, warm dream alive beneath it. After eating, the child asks for the hidden water story again. The old woman begins, but the storm presses so heavily outside that the story changes. She tells instead about a family who forgot to clear their vent and how the youngest child woke because the smoke smelled wrong. She tells it gently, without frightening the child too much, but everyone understands the lesson. A house is safest when even the smallest person notices. The child sits straighter. The next time smoke shifts, they will notice. That is how knowledge survives, not as instruction only, as story, sensation, memory, and responsibility shared before sleep. You sit back and listen to the silence around the words. The fire does not crackle loudly tonight. The wood is dense and slow. The goat breathes heavily behind the partition. The wind above is only a low movement beyond reach. There is no rattling, no banging, no shriek of air through planks. The earth has taken the storm's voice away. Without that voice, fear has less to hold. Your thoughts slow. The room's small sounds become enough. A thread pulled through wool, a spoon touching a bowl, a child breathing through sleep, a coal shifting inward, the goat's jaw moving once, then stilling, a drop of water reaching the entrance channel and stopping there. You remember the houses above ground, the tall rooms, the gaps under doors, the fires that burned high and still left feet cold. You remember standing outside with the cold climbing your legs. You remember the first moment after the door closed, when wind ceased to be a force on your body and became only a sound that belonged elsewhere. The earth house is imperfect. It is smoky, dim, crowded, damp in one corner, and small enough that every person's mood affects the air. But tonight, while winter spends itself above the roof, imperfection feels like a fair price. The old woman lowers the flame. This is not putting the fire out. It is preparing it for the long hours. She covers part of the embers with ash, leaving enough heat to wake later. The room darkens. The child is guided into bedding. The man takes the first turn of night watching. The watching is not dramatic. It means dozing lightly, listening for smoke, for animal distress, for the vent cover, for the wall, for the 1,000 small things that keep a house alive. You are not on watch. Not yet, so you are allowed to sleep. You lie down on the raised bedding, straw beneath, blanket above, wall near, but not touching. Your body remembers the cold outside and lets go of it slowly. The feet warm last. The hands open. The shoulders sink. The neck softens. Breath deepens without effort. The storm becomes more distant with every breath, not because it has ended, because you are held. Earth above, fire near, straw below, wool around, people beside, animal warmth across the room, food stored in the wall, the vent cleared, the door sealed, the damp watched, the night answered. No single one of these would be enough. Together they are shelter. You fall asleep before the man rises to check the vent again. Chapter 9. The first softening. The storm ends during sleep. No one sees the final snowflake fall. No one hears the wind decide it has done enough. Morning arrives underground as a slight change in the air, a little less pressure above the roof, a quietness that feels different from burial and more like rest. The old woman wakes first, as always. She listens for a long moment before moving. Then she opens the vent a little wider. Smoke rises easily. That is the first sign. The second comes when the door is opened and the cold that enters is still severe, but no longer violent. It stands outside instead of forcing itself in. The man steps into the entrance passage and returns with snow on his shoulders, but his face is not tightened the way it was before. The wind has gone, he says. No one cheers. Winter has not ended, but the house receives the news like a body unclenching. After a small breakfast, you go outside with him. The world has become white beyond recognition. The path is a trench. The roofs of above-ground houses are heavy with snow. Fences appear only as low, uneven lines. Smoke rises more clearly now from vents and chimneys, straight enough to show the air has calmed. The sky is pale gray, and the light hurts your eyes after so many days below. You stand still. The cold is still cold enough to punish carelessness. Your breath steams. Your boots sink. Your fingers tighten quickly inside mittens, but the air is no longer full of moving ice. That change alone feels enormous. The village emerges slowly. One door opens, then another. A figure lifts a shovel. Someone clears snow from a roof edge. A child laughs somewhere too loudly at first, then is hushed by an adult who remembers how sound travels in winter. Animals make noise from shelters. A dog appears, shakes itself, looks offended by the height of the snow, and disappears again. You help clear the entrance fully, not only for today. For tonight, entrances must remain honest. A door that opens only inward can trap a household if snow presses too strongly. A vent covered by a drift can turn warmth dangerous. A path to the well matters before thirst begins. The storm is past, but its work remains. By midday, several paths have been reopened between the earth houses. People speak briefly when they pass, exchanging conditions more than conversation. Who needs wood? Who has a cracked beam? Whose animal is lame? Whose storage pit stayed dry? Which roof must be cleared before evening? The village is still a village, even when most of its life has been hidden. You return inside carrying wood. The earth house feels different after the outside brightness. Darker, closer, warmer, more intimate. The smoke smell rushes back around you. The goat lifts its head, recognizes nothing interesting, and returns to chewing. The child asks what the world looks like. White, you say. They consider this. All of it. Most of it. The child seems satisfied. That afternoon, the thin stripe of daylight is stronger than before. It crosses the floor and reaches the edge of the hearthstones. The old woman smiles at it, not broadly, but enough that you notice. The repaired damp corner holds. The thumb mark remains unchanged. The storage wall is dry. The pot simmers again. And because the storm has passed, the old woman adds a slightly larger portion of grain. Not generous, not careless, but enough to acknowledge that the house has carried everyone through the hardest days so far. The evening feels almost peaceful, not because winter is gone, because the fear of immediate failure has passed. People sit a little differently when danger moves one step away. The man stretches his back longer. The child plays with the pebble in the light stripe. The old woman hums while stirring the pot. You mend a tear in your mitten, noticing how your hands now move steadily in firelight. The house has changed you in small ways. You duck without thinking. You listen before speaking. You touch the wall when passing the repaired corner. You smell the air near the storage niche. You check whether your bedding is dry. You notice smoke height. You look toward the vent when the fire changes. The house has taught your body how to help it survive. By night, snow outside reflects enough light that the entrance slit glows faintly. The room is still dim, but not as dark as during the storm. It feels as if the world above has opened one eye. The child asks if spring is coming. The old woman says, Not yet. Then, after a moment, but it remembers the way. That answer stays in you. Spring is not here. The cold remains. More storms may come. Food must still be measured. Damp must still be watched. Firewood must still be carried. The earth house will be needed many nights yet. But somewhere beyond the snow, the season has not forgotten how to change. You sleep that night with a lighter breath. The same walls, the same smoke, the same low ceiling, the same stored roots, the same animal warmth, the same earth pressing around the room. But the storm has become memory, and memory is easier to hold than wind. Final descent, warm enough beneath the snow. Now let the story become softer. There is nowhere else to go tonight. No more snow to clear. No more wall to repair. No more vent to check right now. The storm has passed for the moment, and the earth house has done its work. The fire is low. The bedding is dry. The door is sealed. The animal breathes behind the partition. The food rests safely in the wall. Enough has been done. Let that be true. The room is not bright. It does not need to be. The room is not grand. It does not need to be. The room is not perfectly warm. It is warm enough, and warm enough is the old winter blessing. Breathe in slowly. The air smells of earth and smoke. Breathe out. The wind is outside. Breathe in. The fire is near. Breathe out. The body can rest. Above the roof, snow lies thick and quiet. It covers the path, the field, the fence posts, the frozen road, the sleeping seeds, the stones at the edge of the village. It covers the world softly now, not as an attack, but as a blanket that has finally stopped moving. Under that snow, the earth holds steady. Under the earth, the house holds warmth. Inside the house, the fire holds embers. Inside the bedding, your body holds the last heat of the day. Let the layers be enough. Snow, earth, timber, clay, straw, wool, breath, sleep. Nothing sharp now. Nothing hurried. Nothing exposed. If thoughts come, let them be muffled by the snow above. A worry can rise, touch the low ceiling, and soften there. A memory of the storm can pass into the wall and grow quiet. A thought about tomorrow's work can wait near the hearth until morning. The house has places for these things. You do not have to hold them all in your hands. Your feet can soften first. They are no longer standing on frozen road. They are beneath the blanket, above dry straw, away from the wind. Let the ankles loosen. Let the calves become heavy. Let the knees rest. Let the cold that once climbed upward through your boots fade into the memory of another place. Outside the door, beyond the entrance, above the earth, the room breathes slowly around you. The goat shifts once behind the partition, then settles. A coal falls inward and gives a soft red glow. Someone nearby turns under a blanket. The old woman exhales in sleep. The man near the entrance stirs, listens, finds nothing wrong. and grows still again. These sounds do not wake you. They keep you company. They tell the body that life remains near. You do not need to watch the fire. It has been tended. You do not need to touch the wall. It has been repaired. You do not need to count the food. It has been stored. You do not need to open the door. The path can wait. For now, there is only the low room, the smoky warmth, the steady earth, and the deep quiet after the storm. Breathe in and out, again, in and out. The darkness here is familiar now. It is not empty. It holds shapes you know. The bench, the hearth, the storage wall, the doorway, the beam, the folded cloak, the sleeping child, the animal partition, the pot, the blanket, the repaired corner with the small thumb mark pressed into clay. All known, all quiet. The house has become a map. The body can read without light. Let your shoulders lower into the bedding. Let the hands open. Let the jaw soften. Let the forehead smooth. Let the space behind the eyes grow dark and warm. Above ground, winter may still be endless. The fields may still be buried. The roads may still be closed. The trees may still crack in the cold. But none of that enters this room with urgency now. Winter has been slowed by every layer between you and the sky. It must pass through snow, then roof, then earth, then timber, then clay, then straw, then wool. By the time it reaches you, it is no longer a storm. It is only a distant coolness at the edge of sleep. The old families knew this, not because someone wrote it down, because their bodies learned. They lowered themselves when wind became too strong. They built low. They sealed cracks. They watched smoke. They dried walls. They stored roots. They shared heat. They slept close. They let the earth do what the air could not. And through long winters, they lasted. You can let that knowledge become comfort now. Survival does not have to be loud. Warmth does not have to be perfect. Shelter does not have to be beautiful to be kind. The earth house is kind tonight. It holds you without asking to be seen. The embers glow lower. The smoke thins. The animal breath slows. The room grows quieter. The snow above becomes only silence. Sleep can come gently here, not as escape, but as part of the shelter itself. The body needs rest the way the fire needs embers, and the wall needs repair. Rest is not separate from survival. It belongs inside it. Let sleep be one more careful layer. Over the mind, over the body, over the day. A blanket beneath the blanket. A quiet beneath the quiet. Breathe in. The room is warm enough. Breathe out. The storm is far away. Breathe in. The earth is steady. Breathe out. You are held. Nothing more from the wind tonight. Nothing more from the snow. Nothing more to fix. Nothing more to carry. Only the low fire. Only the deep earth. Only the soft breathing of the house beneath the winter storm. Rest now. The door is sealed. The vent is clear. The bedding is dry. The fire remembers. The earth holds, and winter waits outside.